everybody, and welcome back to this episode of Small Business Small Talk, where we spotlight area businesses so that we get their backstories, their origin story, if you will, and learn a lot more about them, what got them started in business, what kind of business they have, what they've learned, what they bring to the marketplace, all their best practices, the tips and tricks that we all need to know, how they've been influenced in life, all the good stuff about being a new business owner or a business owner that has been in business for, ever. So it runs the gamut here with Small Business Small Talk, and I am your host, Chief Strategic Guide of Eagle Eye Strategies, Christy Smallwood. That just came out completely different than I've ever done it before, and that didn't feel horrible. It was just kind of weird. So thanks for attending this podcast with us with this episode. I do want to give a quick shout out to the sponsor partner. Love these guys. It's the Chamber of St. Matthews. They have been great support for this podcast. I've pulled a lot of guests from there, but and actually our next guests have. They were a guest at a chamber event, and I snagged them up as soon as I possibly could. So thank you again to the Chamber of St. Matthews for being a partner with us in this podcast. And we're going to get right to it because, again, I snagged these next guests, barely even meeting them. And they said something that really sparked my attention. So I want to welcome to this podcast, Blake and Hannah Hatton with Hatton Solutions. They are a virtual assistant and online business management services support kind of thing. I wrote too many more words. So, so Blake and Hannah, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. We're happy to be here.
Yes.
So you guys look very young, very young. So what got you started with your own business? And you're a married couple with kids too.
Yes. So Blake and I, Blake's 31, I'm 30. So I guess that's young. I don't know.
For me, yeah.
It depends who we talk to. So, so Blake and I actually started this business last summer to support the current lifestyle that we have, which is living full-time in our RV with plans to travel around the U.S. definitely, but who knows, that may expand into some other countries, we'll see. But basically, so when after a while, I convinced Blake to leave his corporate career and jump on board with this, let's sell our house, buy an RV, live in it and travel idea. And so I'm definitely more the dreamer, the idealist, the free spirit of the relationship. And so he was like, yeah, that sounds good, but we have to pay for it somehow. So he was like, we've got to find something that we can do. And so we just started looking up different things that we could do on the road, virtually, remotely, things like that. And virtual assisting just kind of kept popping up. And so it took me a little bit of convincing, but we finally sat down and looked at it together. And it was kind of like, oh, a lot of the tasks that virtual assistants do, either one, we already know how to do them, or two, we can learn pretty quickly. So that is kind of how we decided to start this business. And, a lot of people have said, like, why would you start a business in the middle of the pandemic? But it actually kind of worked out better for us because where we were doing this, virtually, people were already being, for better or for worse, they were being forced into transitioning their business to be virtual or remote anyways. So it was easier. You didn't have to convince people that it was a good idea to hire somebody remotely.
Exactly.
Yeah, they just already were in that mindset. And so it actually, for us, ended up being kind of a good thing to get into. One of the things that we do is help educators who create products and sell them on the Teachers Pay Teachers website. And so, a lot of them, they were like, oh, we have to turn all of our products digital now because, schools weren't open, or some kids, they were attending in-person classes. Some of them were doing it virtually. So that kind of worked out good for us. So that's the short of how we started this business. So.
You guys are already funny to me because in our proverbial green room, everybody, you got to understand they talked about their child. We talked about pets and the screen and different distractions. Yeah. And we already knew before this interview that Hannah, you admitted you like to be the talker.
Yes.
So Blake it was very like, you love her enough to go, okay.
It was that, but also the fact that I was at a job where I didn't like it. I was on call 24/7. I was working tons of hours, and that all came at a cost, and that cost was my family. And I knew that if I kept on this path, I was gonna, who knows what would happen to me? It's gonna break down or whatnot. And so I got one last nasty email from the company I was working for. I didn't like it, and literally out of the blue called her and said, "Hey, I'm gonna get my notice and quit this job, and let's sell our house and let's do the RV thing."
And I was like, "Yes, do it."
So
right now, don't change your mind.
so we did that with no plan in sight of like how we were gonna go financially. I mean, we sold our house and we were fine that way, obviously. But as far as like my next job, because my career goals coming out of college were to go to a company, move up really, really fast, and do a good job. And that's what I was doing. But as I said, my family came at a cost, and I realized that at a young age that, I mean, I was making good money, like it wasn't worth it. I mean, I can gain all this stuff and lose them, and it just that all that had no more meaning to me anymore. Right. All that desire and all that passion was all completely gone because I was being worked to death. And
right. Well, it would be like late night conversations, after the kids would go to bed, and it would be conversations of like, what do we want our kids to tell people about us whenever we're old? What do we want their memories of their childhood to be like, even, I mean, to the point, it's a little morbid, but even to say, whenever we pass away, like, what do we want our kids to remember about us? And it wasn't, you never want your kids to say, well, my dad worked all the time, or, mom was never home, things like that. So it was just kind of like, if we can do something different, if we can, change that, if we can, build up our family, then let's do it, and it was too like, if we get out and do this and it doesn't work, it's not like we can't come back and buy another house and get another job. And you know what I mean? So it was kind of like, why not give it a shot? So.
And see, that's okay. So there's a lot of great things to unpack just in that part of the conversation, because you guys, you are a younger generation, and what that tells me already, but the way that you think about your future has been different versus the generation ahead of me, the boomer generation.
Yeah.
Right down to the Gen X, which is me, that says you get that and you commit to it and you stay there. Yes. There is no flexibility in what you do with your life.
Right.
So the fact that you guys think that there's flexibility out there, that there's a lot of options in which you can try and do different things. And the second part of all of that came out for me, and I'm hoping everybody else catches this, is that you determined the vision of your lifestyle before you determined the business.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It truly is, our careers, our businesses, even though as a business owner, you never really turn it off. However, everything that you do and you sink into the business should support the lifestyle you want.
Right.
What you want, just like you said, what you want your children to say about you, that business that you're creating should support that.
Right.
And that's what I help people do as a strategist, and like figure, shift their thinking to that way. So I applaud you guys for already being on such a great trajectory with that in life in general.
Yeah, because we've definitely had some pushback, from
our families,
some of our family.
Well, because come on, you're gonna pack it up and move off into an RV. You're like, who does that?
Yeah. Well, and it was kind of like you said, they just have a different mindset about things. I think about like grandparents in particular. I think that they kind of feel like that we don't deserve this lifestyle because we haven't put in, all those hours of working and things like that, but on the same token, whenever you listen to conversations about those people, their kids don't have the memories You know what I mean? Like it was just, hey, dad worked 6 or 7 days a week. And then whenever he came home, he worked more, you know? And so I don't know, we just wanted it to be different, I guess.
That was a constant thing I told Hannah for it's probably I don't know, 2.5 years, where I want to be different. I don't want to be the same as everybody else. I want to do something different, and I want to see where things go, because living the lifestyle that we were living, me working 5, 6 days a week on call 24/7 was getting old quick. And
Yeah.
there has to be something better for us out there to do. I know that everything's not going to be all happy and glory, and I understand that, but day in, day out, 9 times out of 10 it was miserable. And
Right.
we
I think
didn't want that anymore.
Yeah, and I think the point for me where like I really was just like just done with this whole like idea of like, the corporate job and stuff was so in 2018 when we had our third child, obviously the employer knew about this for months and months and months. And so we have our son. We had just moved to our like recovery room from our birth room. So he was a few hours old, and Blake got a phone call from his work, and he answered because he thought that they were congratulating him like on the birth of his son, and they weren't. They were calling him to phone into a meeting the next day, and then essentially to kind of reprimand him like, hey, did you make sure that you told X, Y, and Z that you were taking off? And it was just like, I don't know, it just wasn't a good, because here we were trying to enjoy and bond with our new baby, and then this happened. And so then it just put us both in this just like really bad mindset. And it was just like, this can't be it. This can't be, this isn't what we want forever. We don't want, we didn't want work to always be put forth, or, put before family, because it was just like you start thinking about those things like, okay, whenever they get older and they have dance recitals and basketball games and plays, all these things that they're in, are you even going to get to go to those? Like, and if you do get to go to those, are you going to have to leave because you had to take a phone call or answer an email or whatever? So I don't know, that in 2018 was like a real point for me where I was like, okay, we've got to do something else. Like, we can't, this life just isn't sustainable. So,
and I know with small business, having flexibility being the theme of this one, I guess, is working in a small business environment, whether you own it or you're working in this typically family owned business.
Yeah.
A different dynamic at this level
For
of
sure.
like
For sure.
life is threaded in to the business, and everybody's lives affect the business, and the owners know that. So it's a totally different dynamic, and I'm excited. So tell me more now about, I know you chose virtual assistant in this online business management services. So OBM. So tell me what that stuff entails. I know you give me one example for your teachers, but like,
so I can talk a little bit about the virtual assisting side. So basically what we decided to do, so when we got into this, just in looking around and like meeting with people, talking with people, there's kind of a push at the beginning for people to like niche down and find either an ideal client or an ideal task that they like doing and just focusing on that. But what we kept seeing was that people were doing that early on, and then a few months down the road, they would find something that they actually like to do. And so they were kind of having to like switch their business and, rebrand, remarket themselves to people for that niche. So we decided that we would kind of do a funnel and start broad and then hone in and find what we like doing. And so far, the only niche that we found is just that we like working with small business owners. So I think all of our clients are either, it's like just one person or maybe a couple of people that work. But we honestly, whatever the client needs, that's what we do. So like I said, we work with educators. We do a lot of podcast editing. We can do just general admin tasks like, email management, calendar management. I do like a lot of editing and proofreading. I have a lot of background in that, so I like doing that. And then it's just literally whatever task that business owner needs, we do it. If it's something that, like, a lot of times what we'll do is we'll sit down with new clients and say, all right, let's make 2 lists. What are the things you love doing in your business? What are the things you hate doing in your business? You know, and if we can take off all the hate things, great. You know, and sometimes we can't, unfortunately, you know, because there are some of those things that only they can do. But a lot of times people, I think, are generally surprised at what they will give up. And the thing too is that a lot of times they'll think, well, this only takes me a few minutes, like I'll just keep this. But then once they finally give that task away, they're like, one, either it took them a lot longer than what they thought, or 2, all that time adds up. So for the virtual assisting, we just really do, like I said, whatever they need help with. I mean, sometimes it can be something as simple as, like, you know, we have clients that they, you know, teach people, like have a course or whatever that people sign up and take. And so it's on Zoom. Well, I simply download the Zoom video and upload it where everybody can watch the replay. I mean, it can be something as simple as that. But the way that we have our business set up is just that they buy a certain number of hours for the month, and then they get to decide how they want to use them. You know, social media management. We can do some like graphic creation. I would never go as far as to say that we're graphic designers, but we can do, you know, some simple things to post on Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn, whatever. So yeah, that's a little bit about the virtual assisting side, and then you can talk about the OBM.
Yeah, so the OBM stuff, with my background being in supply chain logistics, so I'm wanting to not kind of, let's say, go away from like doing like the VA type of stuff, more the OBM, more like your higher level stuff. So like your project management stuff, your the daily operations of a business that go on that could need to be supported, any type of like daily metrics that somebody needs to report it out or help customize or build different templates or something in Google Sheets or Excel we can work on. Let's see what else we got going on. So we can create some SOPs for companies.
Which SOPs are standard operating
procedures. Yeah, sorry. So that's me.
Mike always uses his little thing. Yeah, not everybody knows what that means.
I just well, if you've seen that movie, what's the movie? It's not Office Management. What is it? Maybe it is. Is it Office Manager? No, it's not Office Manager. It's I can't even remember the movie. It's like in the 90s, late 90s, early to it, where he's like, yeah, if you could get that SOP paper to me, that'd be great.
Yeah.
They're like, and somebody was obsessed with the stapler. That's what comes to mind when somebody says SOP. Yeah. Like it was all SOP.
Right.
Yeah.
And then just managing like help managing teams. Like people. So if anybody business owner needs help managing their teams that like they have, just to help organize them, people organize, just to be, it's the same thing. I mean, it's just higher level stuff from the VA stuff that we want to do the same task from.
But it's kind of, it works a little bit more closely like with the CEO and kind of becomes an extension of them, right, basically. But, you know, whereas the VA is more of the administrative type work, right, you know.
But the biggest thing too is to help alleviate, like take away those pains that the company's having, so that they know those services are being taken care of and they can focus on what they want to do, and like their biggest passion for starting the business was in the first place.
Right.
Well, and I know from personal experience, you know, as a business is growing, things are, to get it out of my head, and I've worked with other clients before, but then I had my own experience. So to get all of the stuff that I know how to do quickly, like you mentioned earlier, it only takes me a few minutes. It's going to take me longer to teach you how to do it than it is for me to just do it. We get stuck in that a lot. And having the combination of what you two are offering together, helping set up better procedures, the team's in the right place, doing those jobs that I hate to do, that are great for them. Like they're in the right spots, doing the right things. Those are all super important to help grow and scale the business to the point that, you know, then it becomes profitable, and then it's supporting my lifestyle the way I want it to.
Yes. Yes, which has basically been, so, when you start out doing a business, everybody talks about what's your why? What's your why? And so we sat down and did that. And it was to have that flexibility, to have that freedom. And it's funny because our why has kind of turned into like, I don't know, like our business mission or whatever, So if we can take away tasks, if you can offload tasks and give them to us to do so that it frees up your time, well, then you get to use that time however you want, and that's what we wanted. We wanted our time to be freed up. And so for some people, like Blake said, some people are like, I'm putting that time back into the business. I'm going to work on growing it and scaling it. But then we have some people too that are like, no, I want to
go to
spend
Disney.
time with I want to spend more time with my family. I want to take that vacation that I've been wanting to take, and it feels good to know that our clients, trust us enough that we're getting these things done so that they can have that freedom, so that they can go do those things that felt like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to get to do that again. Because I think we all have that when you start a business, like you think that it starts in your mind one way, and then whenever you're into it, you're like, oh my gosh, what did I do? I'm working all the time, I'm never going to have time to do anything. But then if you can have somebody like us that comes alongside and says, hey, let us help you, let us take these things away, you can get them that freedom and that time back. So
right. And one thing, going back to that 10 minutes, where it takes you 10 minutes to do, and you may have to spend half an hour training somebody to do for just that 10-minute task. Once we work with somebody and they realize they can delegate stuff to us and we're going to do a good job for them, they're going to be able to save that time. It's freeing to them, because we had a client recently who she struggled with giving stuff up because she wants to keep everything. What's just 10 minutes? When I told her, I said 10 minutes today, but spending 20 minutes of us or half an hour with us doing that task for you, it's going to save you 10 minutes every single day. And that 10 minutes is going to turn to you doing something else more profitable for your business. Right. Or you can do whatever, like you can do whatever you want to with that time. And so then once she realized that, then she gave us something else to do. So there she's getting more time saved because she's giving us more tasks to do, which I know it gives us more work to do, which is what we want and stuff. But then they realize that they're getting our services that we're providing are actually being useful, because they can going back to, they're getting more free time to do what they want to do, which should be focus on the business or spend more time with their family.
Look, again, as a business owner, having that kind of support is life-changing.
Yes, it really is.
It's a huge difference. So if any of our listeners out there are struggling, and also too, here's the other flip side of this. You don't have to hire a full-time person.
Yes.
To do this.
Yeah.
If you guys provide these services that I'm like, I don't have the budget to bring on somebody full-time.
Right.
That you can take a huge load off my shoulders.
Yeah. For
a season at least, and then potentially even train the next person once I get enough to hire full time.
Yep.
Right.
So
yep, exactly.
Yeah, everything is just done in hours. So whenever somebody hires us to work with them, we check everything by hours. And so they come buy a different package if they want that best suits them and their needs and
their budget.
Then we just go from there. I mean, there is no, like we're technically like an overhead, technically speaking, but we don't have all those extra costs. We're just one fixed cost and our variable costs.
Your overhead's on wheels. What do you?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so it's just one cost and that's it. There is no extra to it.
Yeah. There's no, paying, taxes, offering benefits, giving us an office space, buying us equipment, all those things. It's just,
because we have all that stuff.
Here's their money I pay them, and then it's done.
Yeah. So what do you love most about it?
Well, I think that, I can speak for me, but for me, it definitely has just been seeing those clients where they're like, oh my gosh, this is so helpful. And when they get that moment where they're like, because in the beginning, and I think we're all like this. I mean, we're like this, just in our business where you're like, it's hard to make that investment. It's hard to make that initial investment. And you're just like, is this going to pay off? Like, am I going to see a return? And when that moment comes where the client is like, oh my gosh, this is totally worth it. And then you see them and then they give you more stuff, you know, and they're like, okay, yes, yes. Can you help me with this? Can you help me with this? Can you help me with this? That's what I like, because obviously, like, I'm just more of a relational person. I like building that relationship with the clients and getting to know them and getting to know, you know, their families and things like that. And so when they have that moment, you know, and they tell you about things, like we had one client that told us about how, you know, she was able to have this big dinner with her husband. She, you know, planned this really nice fancy dinner. And I mean, it was just at their house, but it was just something that she had done that she hadn't been able to do, you know, for so long because she was just so busy. And so she shared that with me. And it's just nice to see the clients really be like, yes, this is it. This is good. This is worth it. And then, you know, giving us more things to do. So
I think for me, what's nice about, I guess, like that when we were able to start a business and see it succeed and do good things, and just the same things like Hannah said, helping those clients out to allow them to do what they want to do with their time. But the other thing for me is to see how my goals personally have changed, or my career goals have changed from wanting to move in a company super high to now is working on and building our business so that I can support our family a different way, that there is another way out, like, to do things. You don't have to just go to college and get a good job and then be stressful. You can start a business, because I've always wanted to do a business, but we never, I didn't know what to do.
right.
And then this kind of, I don't say fell in our lap. We like worked hard at it and have built clients up and got new clients. But it's just knowing that our life is our life now, and my career goals have somewhat changed through all this, and it's freeing. I don't have nearly as much stress as I used to have before in the past, and it's been good. And being home with our kids every single day and seeing them every single day and watching them growing up and going outside and playing with them, and them knowing that I'm not going anywhere today or tomorrow, that is really rewarding and nice to see.
Yeah, because that was the conversation we had every night when he was working. Every night, whenever, you know, you put the kids to bed, it was like, do you have to work tomorrow, Dad? You know, and it was always so sad, because most days it was, yes, I do have to work tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know, so it's nice that that's, you know, and like Blake said, we know that this isn't necessarily for everyone or something that everyone would want to do. But for us, it's just nice that we don't have to have those conversations anymore of like, are we going to be leaving, you know? So
Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about this RV lifestyle, because how long have you guys been doing that? So just since last year?
yes, so we moved into our RV 2 weeks after, like, everything shut down here. So that was kind of a whirlwind. And then we have been stationary since. So we have had like friends and family that have let us kind of like park. Because in the beginning, you know, whenever everything had shut down, it was kind of up in the air on whether or not we'd be able to stay at a park, or if we did, what kind of utilities they would have and things. So we had some friends that were like, hey, we have this vacant house and nobody's watching it. Would you all park there and keep an eye on it for us? And we were like, sure. So we've got to do that. And so, yeah, it's been almost a year exactly since we moved in.
That's cool.
But with all that we do plan to launch, so we say launch, like leave and start traveling full time in our RV next month.
Yeah.
Where are you going first?
We don't have we're just like the beach.
We're gonna say the beach. Yeah, we're gonna probably go to some beach somewhere and
somewhere warm.
Yeah, because one of my goals I've had is doing the RV thing. Is once I did get a job, or like once I got a job one day doing the RV, before we decided to start the business, I wanted to be able to wake up one morning, go out of the RV, take my computer, and sit down next to the ocean somewhere and work. That's been one of my goals that I've had since we've said we were going to start doing this RV life back in 2019.
2019, yeah.
And so hopefully in the next month and a half, that's finally going to get to happen, because it's going to be super nice to be able to wake up in the morning and there's the ocean right there, and then we'll stay there for a bit, and then we'll go somewhere else and travel and do our client work.
You'll be on our networking events virtually, and you'll be like, yeah, look at this, y'all. And you flitting like,
I know.
Yep.
I'm like, hopefully we'll get to the point where like we have like this real pretty background and we can be like, it's real.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, this ain't no virtual background, y'all.
Yeah. So
That is
yeah.
fantastic. Well, definitely you want to keep up with you on all of that. Make sure you start a YouTube channel. I know I follow a lot of RVers that have the lifestyle. I've learned a lot from those YouTube channels.
We follow them too. We're like, watch all the videos. So
I mean, even right down to, there was one couple, they shared what their expenses were for the years and what that was like. And I had my mom with, because I had also been talking about this. I rent currently. And so every year that goes up and there's no equity and blah, 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 blah. Right.
Yep.
So, I was like, well, I got a choice. Do I homeowner or do I do RV? And I'm like, I'm really liking this over here.
Yes. Well, that's the beautiful thing about it too, is like I said, you know, if you do it, because like the reaction that we get, like, so if you decide to do this, the reaction that you get is usually very strong, either positive or negative. People either are like, that's awesome, I wish I could do that, or they're like, you're crazy, I would never live in an RV with 3 kids. And so that's the beauty of it though, is like, if you do it and you get out there and you're like, you know what, I actually don't love this, there's all kinds of houses that you can come back and buy, you know? So
I'm excited for you, because all the experiences that you get to have on the road. All the people
I'm excited
to meet.
I'm so excited to see like our kids, and to just, so Blake and I have been together for a really long time. I don't know what you call it. We were boyfriend and girlfriend or whatever in 8th grade. And so we've been together a really long time, and we're from.
Okay, wait, 8th grade. Was that still passing the notes? Do you like me? Check yes or no stage?
Yes, that's how he asked me to be his girlfriend.
It was a note in a lunchroom.
Yeah, and said, you know, will you go out with me? So yeah,
that's how it was.
But we went on like vacations and stuff sometimes, you know, but I'm just so excited to see our kids get to experience so much more than what we did. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that as parents, that's just constantly something that's in your mind. You always want your kids to have better than what you had, or I don't know, more than what you had or whatever. And I'm just excited to see our kids get to see different places and experience different things and meet new people, you know, and make friends, you know. And I think, you know, how fun will it be whenever they're writing letters to their friends that live, you know, in this state, in this state, in this state. And so, I mean, I'm excited for us, but I'm excited for them too. So
that'd be fantastic. Okay, so what has been a big challenge that you guys have had to face and overcome with this business?
So I think in the beginning it was just getting that first client. Is this going to work? Are we going to be able to do this? I mean, we have this corporate experience, but is somebody going to entrust us to do this stuff and to how will I say this, to help them out. And once we did that and got the first client, things started happening pretty good for us. I want to stop for a second. Our kid is crying. Hannah's going to take over and answer the question. I'm going to be right back.
Yeah, but Blake's right. So that was a big hurdle, I guess, for us to get over, you know, because when we worked, you know, in our corporate jobs, we weren't, you know, you just went to work, you did the work and you got a paycheck, right? Whereas whenever you have your own business, like you have to find those clients, you have to find people that are willing to invest in you, in your business, you know, and like Blake said, and trust you with helping them out. And so, that was something that was like hard, and it felt kind of slower in the beginning. And so as it started to pick up, like it, as you get more clients, your confidence is just like, it just goes up, and you're like, yes, and then whenever you can tell people, hey, we have, this many clients that are entrusting us for the same things, they're like, oh, okay, like people are actually paying them to, to do something. So that was kind of just the biggest hurdle I feel like for us was just like making sure, because there are those days where you're like, is this going to work out? Like, did we make the right choice? Like, and I just think that that's, something that every business owner goes through, where you're just always like, you just have those days where you're just like, did we make a mistake? So that was definitely the biggest hurdle for us to get over. So.
And you're right. There's a lot of businesses that we all go through that same thing. And sometimes it's even at year 5 or 10 or.
Yes. 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 Well, yeah, that's not to say that like we don't have those days anymore, because we still do sometimes where it's just like, oh my gosh, was this the right, but like I said, but then you have those moments like I was talking about earlier, where you have those moments where you're talking with their clients and you're building these relationships and stuff, and you're like, okay, yes, this was it. This is what we're supposed to be doing. So
yeah. Validation never hurts.
Right.
So
Exactly.
we get some good
Yes.
feedback.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Yeah.
So over time in business, so there's some basic questions I typically ask all of my guests.
Yeah.
So over time in life and business, we've all been influenced by somebody. So who have been some of your biggest influencers?
Oh, that's a good question. I definitely would say, I mean, and this is going to sound kind of corny, but I definitely would say that like we have been big influencers for each other. You know what I mean? Like a lot of VA businesses are just one person. And so when we started presenting ourselves as a team, and then a husband and wife team, which people are either like, yes, that's great, or they're like, I would never work with my spouse. So I feel like that we have definitely been really influential in each other, and we kind of can help to, when one of us is having that day where we're like, oh my gosh, what did we do? The other one is like, no, this is it. This is what we're supposed to be doing. So definitely that. And then for me, like my mom, like I always have ideas, and my mom and Blake are always the ones that are like, that's crazy, but I'll support you anyways. So, she's been, because, we all have those friends and families that they start businesses all the time, and then you never hear about their business anymore. And so I think that, we kind of had a little bit of that in the beginning, where people were like, oh yeah, they started a business. We'll see, how long that lasts. But my mom was always like, she's just always been really supportive of helping to encourage us, and helping, even things like watching the kids so we can hop on a Zoom call or whatever. So
Blake, what about you? Who've been some of your
for me? I think I guess before everything, before we decided to do this lifestyle, when I was growing up, somebody once told me, do you want to be the person digging the ditch, or the person telling the other person how deep to dig the ditch? And so that was a self-motivation. It was one of my grandpa's friends who told me that at a young age, and always stuck with me. So that's what instilled the passion to go higher up in a company one day. And I was on that path one day, obviously. But I guess thinking about that, that's kind of changed, I guess, obviously, with what we're doing. We did hire a VA coach to work with us and to help us out. And so I think having her to always do calls with her, and to be able to message her and ask her questions to help us get us to the point where we need to be in our business, that we're able to to support the lifestyle that we're living has been a huge benefit. I mean, because I mean, I feel like we're getting close to the point now. Hopefully, I guess hopefully soon that we're going to be considered fully booked out as far as the number of hours that we want to work, say per month, as a combined I guess team.
Yeah.
Then once we go from that point, we can get working with her even more as far as how to scale a business and how to bring on those team members, so we can then take on more clients and grow our business. I mean, so it's so having her in our back pocket has been good, but also with having her has come. She has a bunch of resources as far as people that have worked with her before in the past. So we were able to communicate with them too, and talk with them, and to get ideas off of each other, and to be able to help out all of our clients that we have.
Yeah, she's been really great to, especially for me, to kind of like talk me off the ledge and be like, it's okay, calm down.
Perfectly normal.
Shout out to Maggie. Thank you, Maggie.
Yeah.
I totally give a stamp of approval for having a coach of any kind, because I am. Yes. That's what other businesses do.
So that was one thing that we talked about, like whenever we did decide to do this VA/OBM business, like, were we going to hire a coach? And we didn't know. Like, I mean, we knew we had some good skill sets, but then how would they translate to this new virtual world that we're going to try to market ourselves to, and to have people entrust us. But like, we ultimately decided to go with somebody, and she's been amazing. And it's like, I don't think that we would be where we were at now if it wasn't for her, because we didn't know where to even start. Like, what do you do first? I mean, like, but then you start thinking about that. It's kind of like there's so many steps to start, and you can start here, but I guess you could start wrong. But then she gave us an outline and a plan. Hey, do this, then do this, then do that. And once we did that, we hit the ground running. But then it was slow in the beginning. We had a bunch of project-based stuff that we had to do, or project-based stuff that we had last year. But then this year, everybody we work with now is all on a retainer package. We don't do any type of project. We try not to do any type of project work, because we know that it's not that monthly retainer package that we need to be able to like support us. I mean, we've done a couple of them here or there, but we try to stay to a month retainer package, so that client is constantly getting our work and seeing that benefit from us.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, I would definitely say, for anybody who's listening, anybody who's starting out a business, I definitely agree with you, Christy. Like, because, and honestly, I was the one that was more hesitant about hiring the coach. Like, Blake was like, we need a coach. And I was like, are you sure? Like, we hadn't even made our first dollar, and it was like, are we going to see, I was that person that was like, am I going to see my return? And we definitely have. So for anybody who's kind of on the fence about it, I definitely recommend hiring a coach. And for us, one of the best things we did was we kind of did like, we did, I don't want to call them interviews, but basically we sat down with several different coaches to see,
you should tell.
Are we going to be a good fit? Do they have the same vision that we do? So we encourage people as well, like, yes, hire the coach. It is worth it. So
what is the best piece of advice you've ever received? Now, Blake, you mentioned, hearing that spark of inspiration about, do you want to be the one digging the dishes or the one telling somebody else how to do it?
Goodness.
What other best piece of advice have you received in life, just in general?
I had a stepdad once told me that whatever you decide to do in your life, make sure you become the best at it. So he's like, if you're a garbage man, make sure that you're the best garbage man in town that there is. So that's one thing that that's always been in my back pocket, like for motivation to whatever we do. So the next step, we're able to provide the best service to our customers possible, so that they know that we're being taken care of. Because I mean, obviously, if they're not, then they're going to, one, go somewhere else, or two, they're not going to hire me anymore. We don't want to have that reputation for or we don't want to put that reputation like in somebody's mind or mouth, I guess, that VAs aren't worth it or aren't good. We want them to be able to say, hey, I have a VA and they're doing a good job, so maybe you should think about getting one, or hey, here's a referral or whatnot. It's just that whatever we like to do, or whatever we're doing, strive to be the best at.
Yeah.
Anna, what about you?
So I think for me, just with the type of personality that I have, it's definitely more like, I don't know. So like faith is very important to Blake and I. That's something that, has been a foundation for our marriage and for our family. And so there's a Toby Mac song where he says, I don't want to gain the whole world and lose my soul. And so that has been like really motivational for me. And as far as keeping kind of keeping the perspective in place, because I think that it's really easy to see this business and to see it doing well and kind of go to this, mindset where we're like, oh man, we could like build this up and we could make, X amount of money and stuff. But then like Blake was talking about in his corporate career, there's always a cost for that. And so for me, I just always want to remember, going back to that, like, what do I want? When we were in college, one of the Bible studies that we went to, one of the things they talked about was, what do you want written on your headstone? And so that's always been in the back of my mind of like, what do I want people to remember about me? What do I want people to say about me? What do I want my kids to think about me? Whenever I'm not here anymore. And so I try to keep all that in mind whenever we're making decisions and, for our business or for our family. So
one last question, and I think I already know the answer, but I'm going to go ahead and ask it anyway so that you guys can verbalize it.
Yeah.
What does success mean to you?
So for me, man, these are like, these are deep.
I guess I'll go first. Is knowing that so that's mean to me, once we get out on the road and we are traveling full time, and then we are doing our business month after month after month, and we're supporting clients, and that we are able to live the RV life and travel across the country and go see new things. I'll say all the time, but once a month or something like it, like go somewhere new, and we're able to afford that and pay for that from our business, from the hard work that we've put in. That will tell me, like, once we're able to do that, like leaving my job that I was doing and going the RV route and starting the business route, then we would have had success, and like it wasn't all a waste. And we can do that for some time and then get to enjoy that with our family and to see them and watch our kids grow up and experience things, not only for the first time, but me as an adult experience those things for the first time too. And both of us being able to experience new memories, and then once they get older, they'll be able to share those memories with their kids, with our grandkids.
I know, that's weird to say, isn't it?
It's weird to say that. Yeah, just be able to experience those things, and then they can maybe do those same things with their kids and say, hey, look, I guess grandma and grandpa brought us here whenever we were younger, or if they choose not to live this lifestyle, then that's fine, knowing that they had that experience, and
Right.
and that their parents worked really hard on the business and grew the business to be able to give us new memories and to be able to enjoy new things in life.
Right. I think for me, like, success, like in business, is kind of what we've already been seeing, just having those moments. Cause like I said, I'm definitely more of that, like, relational. I like talking to people. I want to get to know you. I want to get to know not only your business, but I want to know about, your partner, your kids, your cat, your dog. Like, I want to know all of that, and so having those moments with the client where you can see that they're like, hey, thank you so much for X, Y, and Z. Thank you for helping me with this. This was something that I needed to get done months ago, and you took it off my plate. Or, I wanted to have dinner with my husband months ago, but I just didn't have the time, and now I can. I wanted to take that vacation, and now I can. Like, that has been success for me, just seeing those moments of those clients being like, this is worth it. You know what I mean? Like, hiring you all was a good decision. And just seeing that they're entrusting us with more things. The clients that we've had that we've been working with, for several months now, I love it when they send me a message and they're like, hey, I know you've never done this before, but would you do this, or would you be interested in doing that? I love getting those messages because I know it's because we've done a good job for them in the past. Yeah. And they're like, if I can give her more, or if I can give him more, I'm going to do it,
Yes.
So that's been really great.
So if you had a piece of advice to give other business owners out there, either, it doesn't matter, run the gamut. Somebody might just be starting, or they might be in business and need to re-energize themselves. What advice would you give them?
I would say just do it. So I guess this would be for somebody who's starting out new in the business. It's just if you have an idea or a plan or something, just go for it. Don't let your thoughts hold you back. That's one thing that I guess I personally struggle with sometimes, is being held, or not trying to talk myself up to actually doing it. I mean, if I put my mind to doing something, I can do it. Same thing for anybody else. If you put your mind to doing something, or if you have a goal or you want to achieve something, just go for it. Don't let anybody or even yourself hold you back, because anybody can do anything put their mind to.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I think I would definitely recommend for people to find like a like-minded community. So like, obviously for me, I'm definitely more of the extrovert. Like, I get energized off of like talking to people and things like that. And so for me, for us to find community, like we have community in the VA world, like Blake talked about, our coach and all the people that she has hired, like we've met some of them and built that community. But also, you were talking earlier about like the St. Matthew's Chamber. And that was actually one of the first chambers that we had went to. And we just loved the community of that. And, that there's always the people in there that are like helping support you. Every call that we've had has always ended with, okay, now tell me something I can do to support you. Tell me something I can do to help you. And so if you can find that, and you can find that early on in your journey, that's something I wish we could have done earlier, is, doing more of the networking, finding that community. I think it makes it, I don't want to say necessarily easier, but I think it makes it more manageable, because you're not always going to have that support from, your friends and family, because they don't have that, they might not have run businesses. They might not, be familiar with that. And so sometimes it's easy to be a little bit more skeptical, but it's just nice to have that community where they're like, no, you can do this. You are more than equipped to do this, and I will help support you in this dream. So, even if you've been doing your business for a long time, and if you don't have that community, I think that if you could put yourself out there, and right now it's like the perfect time. We were talking about that earlier. Right now it's like the perfect time, because it's all remote. So you just do it right from your house. You have to be put together from here to here. So,
doesn't matter if you have PJs on the bottom, it doesn't matter.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
You're not having to drive anywhere or go anywhere. You're just, you can be sitting at your desk or sitting in your chair or whatever. So that's what I would say is to find you a community to help support you and to help encourage you.
Well, with that, I totally stamp of approval on that comment for sure. Because I love my business community here, and I want to thank you guys very much for being a guest on this episode.
Yeah.
So how can people follow you, get in touch with you? What's a good way to connect with you?
Yeah, so we have a website. It is the name of our business. So Hatton Solutions. It's HATTON Yes. Listen to Christy. That's what it is. I'm like, this is hard to spell it in my mind. .net. And then you can find all of the links to like our social media. Blake is really active on his LinkedIn. And it's just Blake Hatton
Yeah.
on LinkedIn. And then our email is just hattonsolutions@gmail. We love getting emails from people. We check it every day. So
Right. And then also Facebook. We're
Yeah.
also on Facebook too.
Yeah.
So we have a Facebook page as well.
yeah.
Fantastic. Well, I'll include definitely your website in the section, the description section here for this episode.
Yeah.
They can just click right
Thanks.
through there. So for, again, Blake, Hannah, it's been a pleasure to get to know you at this
Yeah.
episode.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah,
It's been great getting to know you.
And so for everybody listening, watching, all that kind of stuff, you know this drill by now. Subscribe and share. You can't be the only one holding this in, all this good stuff. Share with your friends, this young couple who is all about freedom and family in their own way, developing their own business and their own lifestyle. Appreciate them so much. Make sure, again, subscribe and share these episodes out across your favorite channels, and check us again next time on the next episode of Small Business Small Talk. Thanks, everybody.